Very often you'll hear this thing that do not generalize. Just because there are thousands of Islamic terrorist attacks, there are hundreds of Islamic terrorist groups out there are millions of Islamic jihadists out there, you cannot say majority of Muslims support terrorism. You cannot say Islam promotes terrorism. Of course, Islam doesn't promote terrorism. It promotes jihad, which is what we call terrorism. So what do we say? We say all the religions are equal and there are extremists in every other religion. As if there are some Hindu extremists who did something similar to 9/11, where they hijacked planes and then they killed 3,000 non-Hindus. As if there are some Buddhist extremists who did something like Mumbai terrorist attack or like London bombing or like Madrid Train Bombing to kill more non-Buddhists. As if there are Christian terrorist groups who are killing thousands of non-Christians the way Islamic terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram or Islamic State are doing in Nigeria, Iraq or Syria. As if there are some Jews who just decided to drive their car or truck over hundreds of people to kill more non-Jews the way Islamic terrorists or Muslim terrorists did in Germany or France. This kind of thing does not exist in any other religion. It's only in Islam. All the major terrorist groups in the world, they belong to Islam. This kind of terrorist groups do not exist in other religion. But you see, because you just say, oh, all the religions are equal, because to be politically correct, now you're blaming all other religions. See, so this is where Islam gets benefited from the benevolent nature of every other religion. On the other hand, every other religion shares the blames of Islamic atrocities. So come to generalization. If you think about in terms of population, the world has like 26%, about 26% Muslim population. And if you combine other followers of other religions, the percentage is about 76%. So we started with do not generalize. Do not blame those 26% people or do not measure it up those 26% people. But to protect them, it's okay to blame 76% of the world population. It's okay to blame every other religions to protect Islam. Now there is this notion that majority of something needs to be bad to call it bad. If you think about it rationally, this is not a rational thinking. If you think about this, the big tech companies, do you think like this Apple, Google, do you think all of their employees are software engineers or even engineer? No. They have a very like less than 50%, less than 20% in some cases in a company are actually very related to that field, because you need other type of people. You need management people, you need marketing people to run a successful company. You just can't hire a bunch of software engineers and then that will not become Google. It doesn't work that way. You need a support system. Think about US Army. US Army has less than 3 million army personnel, but it is the greatest army in the world because it has a support system. The Americans supported the tax paying or technology being developed by other Americans. They just support the American army, and that's why it's the greatest army. The same, like, do you think in the Air Force all the people are pilots? No. Compared to the whole size of Air Force, they're very significantly less people are actually pilots. So this is the notion here, because you have a support system. Anything to conduct properly, you need a support system. So Islamic Jihad, it's surviving decades after decades, centuries after century, and we have to believe that there is no support system, that majority of Muslims do not support it. So you see, this is not rational. The same thing with, like, look at Israel. They blame Israel. Israel is a terrorist state. Do all the Israelis are fighting against Hamas or Iran? No. IDF is fighting against it. IDF size, the Israeli defense forces, its size is less than 600,000 if you do not combine the reservists. If you combine the reservists, it's about 630,000 or something. Compared to the Israeli population, which is more than 9 million, it's very, very significantly low. But in that case, it's okay to blame. And this is the notion, because they have a support system. But when it comes to Islam, you cannot blame it. You have to be very specific, and you have to blame every other religion. Do not generalize, but it's okay to generalize when you have to protect Muslims and Islam. Now, look what happened in UK, this Muslim rape gangs, more than 250,000 British white girls have been raped, tortured for like last 2 to 3 decades by these Muslim rape gangs, predominantly Pakistani Muslims. Now, if you are being rational, it's very obvious that these two cultures are fundamentally different, fundamentally conflicting culture. You should not combine them. Like a head-to-toe covered girl would not respect your Western dress. It's very, very simple thinking. It's like very rational thinking. The people who do not respect that, the people who want their daughters, their girls, their sisters to be covered head to toe would be very lustful to the other Western dress of the Western girls. It's very obvious, especially when they're non-Muslim. But it happened in UK. They allowed this cultural mix with the fundamentally conflicting cultures. Now what happening, they are not calling these people as Pakistani rape gangs. Forget about calling even Muslim rape gangs. But it is religiously motivated, it is racially motivated, but still they would not call it Muslim rape gangs. What they call it? They call it Asian rape gangs. See, again, do not generalize, because you cannot say Muslims are bad, you cannot say Pakistani Muslims are bad, but you are okay to generalize the whole Asia, as if there are some Vietnamese rape gangs, as if there are some Japanese rape gangs, or as if there is some Nepalese rape gangs. You know, this thing. So here's the point. It's okay to blame it's okay to blame the whole continent, Asian rape gangs, to protect the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. Now, Islam is fundamentally conflicting with every other culture, every other non-Islamic culture, and it's a disaster if you mix Muslim with non-Muslims. It's very obvious. These people who kill girls for showing hair, the people who torture girls, the people who justifies rapes for dress, they will not respect your culture. It's very obvious. The people who hate drinking, the people who hate pork, the people who hate having dog as pet, the people who hate sculptures, the people who hate nightclubs, they will not respect your culture. They are here just for money, just for a better life, just for money. It's as simple as that. But unfortunately, it did not work. The UK people, British people, or in every Western countries, because of political correctness, they are not using their rational sense. Now, the question comes: why do some political parties protect these Muslims so much? Why do they care about them so much? Do they love Islam, or do they respect Islam so much? The answer is no, they don't. But they still protect Muslims, or they protect the Islamic vote, Islamic immigration so much because of Islam is a political religion. So if you think about this democracy, in every democracy or in every country, in Western countries, there will be two parties. One will be more nationalist, they care about more their country, and then there will be one will be more on the left-leaning party who is more kind of not like the other party. So, and then we have the Islamic immigration, who most of the Muslims, they do not believe in democracy. They want Islam is a political religion, so it is also a political system. It is actually the second leading political system in the world after democracy, which they want is Sharia law. So when these three groups come into a democracy, for example, say UK or America, so of course these Muslim groups are most likely to support the left-leaning parties, and left-leaning parties know it. You probably see the whole number, but think about in a political party perspective, they know exactly from which district they got how many votes, and which demography they got how many votes. So they know this Muslim supports them because they are not in favor, they don't support the nationalist group, because they also have their political agenda, right? So you got the leftist, you got the Islamic group, they want Sharia law, and then you have the nationalist party. So of course the Islamic groups support those leftist group, and that's why leftist groups are always so protective about the Muslim groups. It's the same in America. You'll see the Democrat Party, they support this Muslim group so much. They're supporting so much that they are actually willing to abandon even the Jewish voters. And then it's the same Labour Party in UK, it's the same Congress in India. and it gets extremely dirty, which probably should be obvious from the UK politics. It gets extremely dirty. So democracy is a great system for homogeneous population, but when you have heterogeneous population with fundamentally conflicting values, it becomes really dirty and really destructive. Believe it or not, in India, it's the world's largest democracy. In India, the Muslims are allowed to have multiple wives. But in 1955, the Indian same government, the Congress government, or like the Indian government at the time, they made a law that non-Muslims, Hindus, Christians, they cannot have more than one wife. I mean, I'm not supporting more than one wife, but I'm just saying it became that much dirty. So they have two different laws, one for the Muslims and one for the rest of the non-Muslims. So this becomes that much dirty in democracy just for vote bank politics. And that's the reason why they support it. And that's the reason why they say, hey, do not generalize, but it's okay to generalize based on the whole continent. It's okay to generalize every other religions to protect their Muslim vote banks.